The Golf Channel Academy. I'm your host, Martin Hall. We're here at Lake Nona Golf and Country Club in Orlando, Florida, the scene of the very first Solheim Cup, and I am delighted to be joined by someone who played in that match, Laura Davies. You're an RNA member, you're a dame. What a great place to talk about driving, hey?
Fantastic, yeah. It's somewhere I always have very, very fond memories of, that's for sure.
Well, look, people who know you know that driver was your greatest strength, 85 wins around the world. So let's talk about the driver. And in particular, what I want to talk about, or have you talk about, in fact, is how the other sports, the table tennis, the soccer, have helped you understand the impact of the club on the ball. So talk us through how that's helped you understand how to flight the ball, please, Laura.
Yeah, I think it's just hand-eye. I played hockey, I played tennis, like you said, cricket, football, or soccer, you would call it over here. And it just all helps because golf is, pretty stationary sport, but it's getting more and more athletic. And the stronger you can be, and the more idea of what you're doing when you're getting through the ball and using your body correctly to generate the power, I think all the other sports really helped me when I was younger.
Well, let's see you hit one, and let's bring out some sports thoughts here. Just launch one, Laura.
Well, yeah, this is what the modern technology now, you want to be hitting the ball, I've always been told, a little bit higher in the face. In the old days with the persimmons, when I first started playing, it was completely different. But yeah, you want a nice high launch point. I love hitting the ball high. So this one, I'm going to aim, there's a blue flag way in the distance there. Keep all the fundamentals that you've learned right and get your aim point. I'm looking where I want the ball to start off. Club head down, line my feet up, a few waggles. Now all I'm thinking, smooth takeaway, and then I'm just going to explode through the ball, mainly with my legs. That's where I get a lot of my strength from, I think, is my legs.
Well, let's have a look at one. I'm sure you will. I'm covering my ears. I expect this to be a loud noise. Well, I think about the acceleration, I think about the other sports, and, I know in your back garden, back in the day, you had a soccer pitch. What did you have? You had everything, didn't you?
Yeah, it was it was paradise. For a sports person, it was paradise. We had a tennis court, one green, and we bought a green off a really good golf course called Wisley. They were selling off one of their practice greens, so we bought that, had it put in. So we had 9 tees around the garden, soccer pitch down the front. We had a cricket net for bowling and batting. It was just, for me, it was paradise, and I miss it now.
Now, in all those sports, the acceleration is key, isn't it? I mean, you've played a lot of soccer over the years. I know I've been at Evian when you played soccer. And the acceleration through the ball. So for the viewers, they're not going to hit it like Laura Davies. But when you talk accelerate, what is it that you're accelerating?
I just think, like I say, you take it back smooth. And from this point here, all I'm thinking about is my right side. And I want it to really whip through. And as that's whipping through, obviously, the club head's got a much wider arc, and that's going to hopefully come through with maximum club head speed, and then just smash through the ball and trust that you're online and everything's good. Don't be scared of it and get there and think that's not right. Always accelerate through the ball. That's the biggest tip I can ever give to the amateurs.
Let's see, hit another one, Laura. It's so interesting to me that such a lot of good players talk about using the right side. Now, is that right knee, right hip, right shoulder, or is it just right side?
For me, it's the right hip. I want to feel that it's starting here and this is going to go crashing through the ball. That's all I really think about.
Yeah, you've still got some awfully good... Great balance there.
That was in the days I was a bit younger, a bit more flexible, and I could really swing myself off my feet, literally.
Go on, swing yourself off your feet. This one for me, and this one for Mrs. Hall as well, Laura.
All right, we'll do one for hackers. Teed off a pencil. You're not allowed to do that so much anymore. Apparently there's a height restriction, but...
There is a height restriction. Now, going back, would you actually put it on a pencil in a tournament?
I did. If I really wanted a maximum carry, then I sometimes would take the eraser off the top of a pencil and tee it up. You've got to stand a bit further away from the ball. Everything else should be the same. Obviously, you've got to hover the club off the ground a bit because it's a higher starting point. Just smash it as hard as you can.
Did you enjoy that one?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you did. So that's absolutely terrific. How the other sports have certainly helped you understand how to get the club on the ball. Now, when we come back, we are going to talk about how Laura Davies learned to hit it so far. And it started when she was just a wee girl. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Golf Channel Academy with Laura Davies. We're back with Laura Davies, and we're talking about the driver. I teased before we went to break, we'd let everybody know how you learned to hit it so far. And in fact, it's brother Tony who's responsible, isn't it?
It is really, yeah, because I used to play the early days with him and his friends, and they were all long hitters, and I didn't want to be hit by too fast, so I couldn't keep up with them. Obviously, I was too young and too weak, but I gave it everything I had, and I think that's where the length has come from.
You have built a mound here.
I have.
Why?
Well, I had a problem back in the early 90s when I started hitting it a bit right off the tee. And
how do you build that mound, Laura?
Well, I get my wedge out and I smash it down, and then I put my foot up against it and then make that little mound back there. So you've got a little trough there, so you've got no resistance at all. So it's almost like being off a low tee, but in my mind, it helps me that it's off the deck, because I'm always really comfortable hitting drivers off the deck.
Well, let's see you hit one here, and then we'll probably hit one or two here.
Okay, everything's the same. Probably with this shot, I'm predominantly left to right. I'll never try and hit a right to left off the deck. So just set up a little left of my target. And I might lose probably 10 yards distance, but it's not enough to worry me, because obviously one of the longer hitters, so I can afford to give up that 10 yards as if
Absolutely. So in fact, that ended up being, let's see you do that again. I want to make sure you can do it more than
might have to get the wedge back out. 54-degree wedge is the best one.
Club selection, very important here.
Club selection's huge. Foot in behind. And there you go, that's the key. You're taking all the back of it out. Normally I now chuck that to my caddy and they normally catch it.
But this is a great way to take the left side out of play. Now, just before you hit it, some would say, yeah, well, back in the day that was fine, but now the new drivers and the centre of gravity, but it doesn't seem to affect you.
Well, yeah, that's where you lose your bit of distance, because you're not hitting it. Yeah, I'm hitting it a lot lower in the face, as you could see. But like I said, I accept the fact I'm not going to hit it quite as far because I want the accuracy. But you've still got to hit it as hard. This shot, in fact, probably more than anything, you've really got to commit to it, because you're hitting off a bit of not a very good lie, really. That little left to right ball shape, that's my stock shot, and that's what's won me as many tournaments, I guess.
Well, I think that's fantastic. I did ask you before the camera started rolling on this tournament, do you have a particular shot you remember with the drive? And you said, yes, I did. And in particular, it was a shot at Phoenix, which was on the 16th hole, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a hole I hated. Yeah, it was a out of bounds left, out of bounds right, which most holes were in Phoenix, but this one, for my eye, was really tight. And on the Sunday, winning my fourth Phoenix, I smashed one straight down the middle. And I think at that point I knew that I think it was Kelly Robbins I was going up against. And I kind of had her after that. The one shot I was scared of all day was that one. And it was such a big moment for me in my career to win that 4 years running. I knew I was going to be under pressure. I think on the day I hit it off the deck. I didn't hit it off a tee, because that was during the time when I was still hitting it all the time off the deck.
So a lot of golfers do struggle with a certain hole at a certain time. What would be your advice for someone to get through what they know is a rather nasty-looking hole right in front of them?
You've just got to go through the pain barrier, I call it. You've just got to hit some bad ones and pay the penalty, hit it in the water, hit it out of bounds. But you've got to keep doing it, and eventually you'll hit the one good one that breaks the spell on the hole. I've got a hole in Australia it's still got me. I hit it in the water this year again, and it just happens, but you've got to still hit the right club for the shot.
So you commit to it. So let's see you commit to this one more time. Great stuff.
Go for a big high draw on this one.
You like that one?
I love that one.
Yeah, I thought you did. I could tell.
Very
Absolutely
nice.
Great. Great stuff from Laura Davies. When we come back, much more with the driver with Dame Laura Davies. So, Laura, all the pro-ams you've played in over all the years, all the guys want to hit it past you. Do they?
Well, you get some really good players that do, but they always let you know when they've done it, because obviously I've had the reputation of being a long hitter. Now they've got Lexi Thompson and a few others to worry about, but yeah, they kind of sidle up to your ball and go, oh, is that yours? That must be mine over there. So yeah, they let you know they've done you, but on the other hand, sometimes I give them some stick as well, so it's all fair.
I'm sure you should.
It's now time for Laser Focus, presented by Bushnell.
Okay, one thing I've noticed with you amateurs out there, your stance is too narrow, especially with your driver, and you lose your balance. So stand over it, and all you got to do, just widen it a little bit. Much stronger base. You know, I think that's a really good tip to help yourself get through the ball and not swing yourself off balance, because that's what I see a lot of you guys doing.
We're back with Laura Davies, RNA member, Hall of Famer, and Dame of the British Empire. It's your driving special. Let's just cover some fundamentals here, Laura. The grip, the ball position, the takeaway, things that are so important to everybody.
Yeah, if you want to hit that big drive, you have to make sure everything's right before you go for the big wind-up. Otherwise, you're going to hit it off the planet. So, yeah, for me, I've got an overlapping grip. I think someone said it's a strongish grip because my left hand's over a bit. I don't really know. I don't follow all that sort of thing, but it feels right to me. Now, ball position's probably the most important. First of all, you do your alignment. You come back, like I've said before. You pick your spot. So when I then put the club down, I then want the ball to be, for me, just inside my left foot. And that's pretty much bog standard for everybody, I think. But then as I get over it, because I want to hit a little left to right on most of my drives, I'll just take a little movement like that. So I've slightly opened myself up. But again, even though I've opened my stance up, the ball's still just inside my left foot. And then I'm ready to go. And if you want to hit the big one, smooth away, and then as you're coming through, really try and help it up in the air. Nice high finish, like I do with all my shots. And you should get a bit more carry.
I think it's so interesting watching just a superstar at work here. You do things that are so helpful for people that you don't even know you do. A slightly stronger grip, definitely better for most people, no question about that. But your little waggle there, just hit another one for me. As you watch this at home, viewers, just watch how Laura has this probably very unconscious waggle. Phil Mickelson is another one who does this, and he talks about energizing the head of the club. Look how she waggles and just gets the club going, always in motion. Love that waggle.
But I don't think, if I stood like that, I don't think I could actually take the club away. I couldn't from cold just take it away. So I have to have the waggle. I know some people probably can. It just feels so natural to do that.
Well, I think what that does is get your hands appropriately involved in the golf swing. And you've told me before that the hands are very important to you, no matter what club you're using, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. You need to know what they're doing. You want them, if you want to draw it, you need to be rolling them. If you want to hit a low one, they've got to stay through the ball all the way through. Yeah, there's various shots you've got to hit.
And I just want to go over the takeaway one more time, because I know that as an in-swing thought for you, very, very important. I think you described it as a rhythm or a speed to the takeaway. Talk me through how you would tell someone to slow that down.
Right, well, the best way I try, because with some juniors when I do clinics, I just tell them, feel like they're swinging half speed. And they're actually not, but they have slowed it down sufficiently enough where it doesn't become jerky. So if you do take it away, I mean, I know if I've hit a really bad shot and I look at my caddy, they're going to say, you just snatched it away. That's 9 times out of 10 what I've done wrong. So get ready, do all your waggles, and then just nice and smooth and rhythmical, and then explode onto the ball. You can actually, if you want, something I do if I have got a bit of problem with the swing, you can actually go to the top and stop and still generate all the power. So actually it just demonstrates that the takeaway is a little bit irrelevant. If you can take it back there, hold it, and then still hit the same shot. So you prove that the power's still there. You generate the power from up here. I don't think that's where you generate your power. It's all
Did I just see Laura Davies do a drill?
Oh my God!
Did I actually see Laura Davies do a drill?
Well, I've hit a lot of shots. I feel very weak.
You see, you do drills.
I do.
You tell people you don't practice. But like all these great players, she knows a lot more than she knows. So the hands, very important. The waggle, the grip pressure, the ball position, all part of learning to hit the ball a long way. When we come back, more with Laura Davies and the driver. We're back with Laura Davies. I want to just revisit this hitting off a pencil again. You mentioned it early in the show, but just a little more depth this time, because in actual fact, it's a really good thing for people to practice. Now, we think there is a legal limit for sure on tee height now, but as a drill. So talk me through one more time here, Laura, why you do that on occasions and what it does for you.
Well, if you've got a carry, I mean, I carry it sort of 260 for a normal shot, but if I go off a pencil and it's slightly downwind, maybe a little, and there's a 280 carry, maybe a bunker or a ditch, and I catch it just right, but you've got to draw it because you need the extra distance anyway, I just find hitting it off a much elevated tee, hover the ball above the club above the ground and try and hit it in the sweet spot on these modern day drivers, which, as far as I've been told, it's a little bit higher up than the old days. So, yeah, that's all it is, just to try and generate a bit more power.
Well, let's have a go at that. I mean, right there's a whole lot of wisdom in what you've just said, that earlier in the show you said tee it down to hit a fade or even on the ground, and right now, tee it up to hit a draw. Thoroughly agree with that. So let's just lash one here.
That would have a bit more carry, so that's the only reason.
That may show up on the radar at Orlando Airport, no question about it. Now, let's talk about shaping the ball a little bit with your driver.
Okay.
How would you hit the big cut? Not just a little slider, but a biggish cut.
Yeah, well, if I want to hit it, you can't see probably, but there's a blue flag just in front of me, 100 yards away, so we'll start it on that, try and fade it about 30 yards. Say you've got a big sliding dog leg where you don't necessarily need distance, but you need to cut a corner. So I will aim where I want the ball to start this time, which is on that flag, and then I'm just going to open up my feet, and basically all I'm going to do is follow the line of my feet now. So my takeaway is going to be out here somewhere, and as I come back through with the ball, somehow magically it all squares up and I cut across the ball and it does a little fade. Yeah,
you say magically though, but as we said when we opened the show, the sort of the laws of spin that are there in ping pong and tennis and any bat and ball game, you apply those, you see it that way. We were talking about that earlier.
That's what I feel. I feel like as I'm hitting it, I'm actually just cutting across the ball a little bit. It happens in a split second, but that's the big thing I think about. And that's about what you want.
Let me just, I've got my Bushnell Tour X here. Let me see how far that one went. That was still pretty good. That's 264 right there. So that was pretty substantial.
Happy with that. That's exactly what you'd want from that.
I would say so. So now let's just see if it's true. Does the draw go farther than the fade?
100%, but let's hope if you hit it well, it should absolutely.
Well, 264 to beat.
So the opposite applies this time. I want to start it where the last one finished, and I want to spin it back this time from right to left. Probably not so much of a fade. You don't want it to move so much in the air with the draw because it can get out of control. So, but I've closed my stance now. So now when I take the club away, I'm going to take it on the inside.
Would you picture ping pong or tennis? Would you picture a bit of a topspin forehand?
Probably the tennis with the forehand, just a bit like that. As I'm coming into it, I just feel like that's happening with my hands. So I'd impact the clubs. It's only a little bit, but that's the feeling I want to get. So, a little on the inside. I think the wind's held it out, but it was a good strike.
As they would say in South Africa, pulverised. Absolutely Let me measure that one. Let me see what that one was. Yeah, that one was 286. So that's obviously a heck of a lot farther than the other one. Now, you're someone who it's almost as if the shape of the shot you want determines the swing for you. If you had to hit one low into a wind, what would we do?
Well, off a tee, because if you hit it into the wind, I don't go off the deck. If I want to hit the real stinger, I won't do that, because if you hit it into the wind with a slide, it's just going to get out of control. So off a low tee, so effectively that's created the same sort of height as I would do with my normal deck one. Now all I do, I want to hit this dead straight. That's the one thing about this shot. But just before I take it away, I just go like that. It's a 4 or 5 inch move with my left foot. When I hit the ball, I'm going to be hitting it a lot earlier, and that's going to make the ball hopefully come out really low. And you'll see with my follow through, I'm really going to chop it off as well.
Laura, thank you. That was absolutely great. I understand we're going to be seeing more of you because of your induction into the Hall of Fame. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, it means now that I can play, as long as I play 10 tournaments a year and I'm an active player and I can still walk, I can play on the LPGA Tour for as long as I want, so that's great.
Thrilled to hear that. Great to be with you. Thank you to Lake Nona Golf and Country Club here today, scene of the first Solheim Cup. Thanks for hosting us today. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time on Golf Channel Academy.